I was so waiting for that to fall off when I slammed the door. I'm gonna find myself.
Do you have a fitness qualification, sir?
Welcome back to another mathematics video. 2 of 2 so far.
2 out of 2.
Doing really well. No, that's why.
There's like we are here in this luxurious
car park behind a council estate somewhere in our hometown. So today we're talking about what are we talking about?
Small people versus big people.
On a very basic level, that's what we're talking about.
That's a very basic level.
We're talking about how someone who physically looks smaller, in terms of like if you have 2 people the same height, but one of them is like muscularly a lot bigger,
and one of them looks like Sam,
and the other one isn't as big, how the one that's smaller could be the same strength, if not stronger, than the person who is apparently bigger. You need sectioning.
So, motor recruitment, basically, there's a lot of fucking nerves and shit touching the muscle fibers, right? And get this, when you want to lift a weight, a fucking impulse goes through the nerve to tell fibers like, oh, you got to fucking contract, man. Yeah, we've got to fucking pick this.
Your brain sends an electrical impulse to your muscle saying contract, and it just goes bang.
Yeah.
And you contract. There are some kind of like
there's some little
completely
psychological,
implausible, non-proven psychological aspects where it's like if you think
we're going to talk about
completely believe the weight is lighter, then your muscle will just be like, oh, don't worry, I can do this like piss and just pick it up. But that's...
I was going to go the complete opposite way with that. I think if you do, to a certain extent, if you expect it to be light and it's actually really heavy, you're not going to recruit enough muscle fibers and die if you try and lift it.
Well, there's that. It's kind of, it depends on the kind of person you're. We can go very deep into like psychological
you could be like
profiling.
Really, for pessimistic people.
It's just like,
optimistic.
let's go introvert, extrovert, and how different aspects affect you, because that's like what my whole A level is based around, and I hate it so much. But like on a deeper level for people who have like qualifications. So you have your brain sending signals through your CNS, central nervous system, through neurons, to motor neurons, to motor units, which are where the nerves actually physically contact muscle fibers. And they work on an all or none principle where if the signal is not big enough, there's like a threshold. You either, if you haven't got enough, if the impulse signal is not strong enough, your muscle will not move. As soon as it is strong enough, it will move. But there's no like,
oh, I'm gonna fucking half move.
It's like I can kind of I'll move really slowly if you do a half impulse. It's like, no, when you meet the threshold, it moves. If you don't meet the threshold, guess what? Your arm's not gonna move. You also have your.
I'm sure some of them understand.
What is the name? Not contract.
I want to know what these are because I don't think I know what.
You don't know what Golgi is?
I know what Golgi apparatus is.
Educate yourself. Do a fucking GCSE. You also have these little things. I'm not gonna go like. We could go on a very fucking scientific like.
Yeah,
level.
so we're gonna basic it because people only have 5-minute attention spans. Yeah. So we're gonna cram it in.
So Golgi tendons are another factor, which is your muscle has Golgi tendons. I don't really say entwined, but they're a part of your muscle and your tendon, and they basically feel the tension within the muscle. If you're pulling a weight and the tendon's like there's too much stress on this muscle, it will make your muscle release, and that'll be the kind of thing where like. If you're on a bench press, you're benching as hard as you possibly can.
Like me today.
Yeah.
Like where I died.
Right.
With 120 on the bar.
Or if you bring the bar down, you get to your chest and you go to push and you're just like, you're trying as hard as you can in your head, but your muscles just aren't giving anything. Yeah, that's almost definitely your Golgi tendon kind of, fuck no, you're going to rip a pec. I'm not having it. We're not moving. Also with some training, kind of, yeah, I appreciate I'm going to snap a pec, but I don't care, and kind of push through it. But that's at a kind of advanced, like, Eddie Hall level, where your mind-muscle connection is like...
steroids.
Normal people, people who lift, God, Eddie Hall. Muscle recruitment, the point is, some people, through training at a younger age, say you...
Genetics are in there.
Okay.
Fucking claiming genetics card, that's why I'm weak.
Okay, so genetically, if you have lower... muscle recruitment, there's stuff you can do about it, but initially when you start lifting, it's kind of going to be like, why am I struggling so much? That's your parents' fault. Secondly, another factor you might have is if you got into sport at like a young age, if you were playing like football or proper English football or rugby or anything, you will have started training at like a younger age. If you're doing like pee-wee level American football or like under sevens football, like your legs are getting used to firing, like you're gonna kind of enhance your muscle recruitment at a younger age.
Yeah.
If you're doing sport at a young age, you may already have higher muscle recruitment through your body being used to training. Third point, which is kind of not a third point, but I'm going to tack it on there, is you can make a difference to your ability to recruit muscle fibers. Like through training, as in going to the gym, I will have higher motor recruitment now than I did 3 years ago.
Yeah. And what we're saying is basically a small guy could have really high motor recruitment.
Yeah, so like
well.
if they genetically have really high motor recruitment and the big guy doesn't, then they can be lifting more, even though they're similar heights. And also stuff like yoga, you might think, I'm a 200-pound, 6'2" male. Fuck am I going to a yoga class? Go to the yoga class, right? You're gonna increase your flexibility. I don't know how we're saying this, but we've never been to yoga, right? We know the benefits.
Oh God, no! But
we're poor.
No,
so
yeah, that's why we're doing this.
Increased
so we can afford to go to
flexibility,
yoga classes,
muscle relaxation, which you definitely need. You don't want to be cramping up and tearing all over the place, and
like Sam.
Building a mind muscle. I have a cramp in my brain. That's different.
You're cramping everything.
You're being able
Especially
to build
your wallet.
Being able to build your mind muscle connection through doing yoga can benefit you. I mean, it's not like science, like you go, it will happen. If you push through and like persevere with it, it will help. Point number fuck knows, muscle fiber types. If you're predominantly made up of, I mean, this is also like area specific, but if you genetically have a higher amount of type 2B muscle fibers or fast glycolytic muscle fibers,
a fucking tank,
which are the muscle fibers which contract, the fibers that contract with the highest force and the fastest. That's what you want for explosive movements like your bench press, your deadlift, shoulder press, anything that involves moving shit quickly and with a large force. You want a lot of type 2B muscle fibers. Then you have type 1A muscle fibers, which are slow oxidative. They are excellent for endurance. I can't remember, do they have high red blood cell, high mitochondria?
It's high mitochondria.
Mitochondria, high
capillarization.
That's the one. Basically, your slow oxidative are going to be good for your long distance runners, anything that's like a long endurance event. If you got loads of those, banging, you're sorted. You have the ones that are just indecisive, which are your type 2A, which can be trained. These are fast oxidative glycolytic, so these can be trained to either perform like type 2B muscle fibers or perform like type 1 muscle fibers, depending on how you train. But genetically, you can have a higher level of type 2B muscle fibers than someone else. Therefore, similar builds, or that you're smaller and they're bigger but you're shifting more weight, can be to do with you just being lucky, effectively, because you cannot, although you can manipulate your type 2A muscle fibers, you can't increase your amount of type 2B muscle fibers. Like, what you've got is what you've got, so work with it. Done. We've covered muscle recruitment, we've covered fiber type. Do you want to do lever length or not?
Oh, you mean the one bit I didn't prepare for?
Lever length is slightly irrelevant to my original scenario, which was you being the same height but a smaller build. If you
are
literally smaller, as in like the person you're training with is 6'2" and you're 5'4", you may find that you are able to lift weights heavier than they are. That can be because if you're 6'2", that means your wingspan's 6'2", unless you're like Michael Phelps and it's like 6'5", because he's a fucking freak of nature. You got to move weight a lot further, and this is kind of basic type 1 lever system in physics. I have to explain this right. If you got a fish on the end of an 8-foot fishing rod, that's going to be a heavy fish because that thing is far away, right? If you're holding something on a long like pole, which sounds so bad, but like if you're holding something that's a distance away, that's going to feel heavy because of the lever, like the weight on the end of the load arm and stuff. A bit physical. But if you're holding something like on the end of a fork, then it's not as heavy. Correct.
I feel like we could have used a seesaw.
Two people of the same weight, if you're sitting on a seesaw, but the point of which the seesaw is articulating is right next to one person, then obviously you're not going to move.
Articulating is the point.
The fulcrum.
In the middle.
Yeah, okay. The fulcrum, which is here. Okay.
But
if it's in the middle, it's in the middle. Right. So the point is, because the taller person's arms are longer and they got to move it further, it takes more effort to move the load.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're smaller, not only have you got to move it less distance in terms of like from your full lockout to your chest and up again, you've also got to move it less.
It's closer to you.
Your muscles have got to contract, but like they're only shifting a lever which is shorter, so the weight is technically lighter. I mean, it's all relative because it's still like 100 kg is 100 kg.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter who you are, 100
No
kg
matter who you
is
are,
still
it's 100 kilos,
to you.
right? But to you, it'll be easier to move because your levers are shorter. I'm now referring to notes because I can't remember all these things. So you also have your tendon and ligament attachment sites. So if anyone's a fan of Cannibal Moga, you'll realise that he recently tore his bicep tendon off. So you have entheses, which is, I mean, it's a word used, it just means the end of something, but the entheses is a little bit of tissue that connects, it's connective tissue that connects your ligaments to your bones and your tendons to bones. You find these at, long words inbound, osteotendinous junctions and osteoligamentous junctions, which basically just means anywhere where your bone connects to a tendon or a ligament. So osteo is in bone, ligamentous is in ligament. Not too hard to work out. So you have a lot of stress going through these points. I need to borrow your arm for this. Your arm out. Basically, so James's biceps brachii will have a tendon that connects.
James doesn't have a biceps brachii.
No, I said biceps brachii is in this one, not brachialis or
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
radialis.
Yeah.
So the tendon will be somewhere along here because this muscle needs to connect to this bone, stop it, in order to lift it, in order to curl your arm slowly. So the connection's in here, and that's how it lifts it in.
I can't stop it. It's
Your
all
tendon.
All or nothing, bro.
I'm gonna punch you in the face right now. Tendon
Wouldn't do that to me.
attachment
Christmas.
could be here or here. I mean, it's not going to be any further, but based on where that is,
Or there.
yeah, there. This is a big line. If this tendon is attaching further down the forearm, then it's acting as like a longer lever. Like if you had a pencil, that's not going to work.
Every door.
If you try and pull a door open, right, you're going to want to pull it as far away from the hinge as possible because that's where it's easiest to pull, right? If you try and pull a door open next to the hinge, that is a lot harder.
And that's what you should aspire to be able to do.
The point is, the further that tendon is from the fulcrum, from the joint at the elbow, the easier it is for the weight to be lifted because it's like opening a door at the handle rather than at the joint.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. That's another genetic factor. These are your excuses of why you're weak.
Right, write them down.
Write them down.
Yeah,
tattoo
write
them
them down.
onto your fucking hand. So when someone goes, "Oh, bro, you only bench 225," you be like, "Fuck yes, I do." And here are my reasons why. No type 2B muscle fibers, no muscle recruitment. My ligaments are attached.
My
in
CNS
the
is
joint.
broken.
The CNS doesn't work. I've never been to a yoga class. There's your reasons, and you can just rattle them off and then go and cry into your protein shake. And I have severe depression. So there you have it. I think that's 4. We'll go with 4 reasons why you're a pussy. I'd like to outline. James knows a lot of that, but he rambles so much in between that I had to
Sam takes it off me because otherwise I'll make a lot of jokes.
He'll make a lot of jokes, which you've
Jokes.
made anyway. And also, we need to get it done. And I kind of summarised that nicely into a probably 20-minute clip that I need to cut down to 5 minutes. So,
Yeah.
thanks for watching. We'll make another video at some point in the next 2 weeks. Maybe. We're going to commit to it right now. Our next video.
Fuck!
Our next video.
I need to psych myself up. I need to get a pump to do this.
How to not make tofu taste like feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our next video. Subscribe. Next video is going to be amazing.
Bar program.